Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights brings together stories from the world's most notorious creators of horror. Select nights September 14th through November 3rd in Universal Studios, Florida.
Face terrifying haunted houses, including Netflix's Stranger Things and more.
Plus, experience sinister scare zones, outrageous live shows, and some exhilarating Universal Studios attractions.
Learn more at orlando.halloweenhorrornights.com/CRUCIBLE.
That's orlando.halloweenhorrornights.com/Crucible. Check it out.
It's becoming a nightly thing! If falling to avoid my dream! The ones where you haunt me, ever vigilant, keeping me from sleep. Where I'm afraid of the things I see, where I'll end up or I'll be. I thought I saw you through the crack in the door. I called your name and you disappeared. I ran but I slipped through the cracks in the floor. I called your name as I awoke.
Well, hey, Bonesy.
Well, hey, birds.
Last week, you weren't able to attend, had a bit of a conflict, and so we did a duo episode, had a guest host on.
Hey, you guys did great.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Calcium himself, Candy
Calcium
Cakes. That made me laugh quite a bit.
Mr. Cameron Cakesicle himself. And then instead of just going, okay, well, scheduling issues aside, let's get back to normal, we decided we're going to keep right on rolling with these duo episodes, because why not find a bit and just beat it to death? So This week, just me and Bones. But Swain's going to have an interesting week next week. This should be interesting.
Yeah. And you will have to leave by order of pattern, and you won't be able to hear what he has to say right away. You'll have to wait till you listen. But a week off is always nice for us. That's kind of the joy of doing a show with three people. Why not take advantage of that? We haven't in hundreds of weeks. But
hey, take
sometimes.
a vacation. We earned it.
Well, Swain is not here, and he doesn't get to get fucking hype about Warmind. And
oh my God.
Fair enough. He'll probably be more hyped than us next week, but they did post the TWAB and a new roadmap with this new cover art, and it's reminiscent of Curse of Osiris, which I love. There's this very triangular center. It looks like a gate, sort of speak, but there's this big Warmind, and from what we can tell, it's on the pole of Mars. Looks like a south or north pole. And I'm stoked. It's so cool. I've always been very into this aesthetic. I think one of the most insane things about D1 was when you could just open a door, go downstairs underneath the Cosmodrome, and you're in this, you're in a server room. And that's always been awesome. So this is right back to my favorite vibe. And I'm very stoked. Also some snow. I love snow levels in any video game.
Yeah. This is, this looks cool. And I feel like we've been really waiting for some more Warmind facts. We've got some Warmind context and some Warmind stories, but I need Warmind facts, and I think we're going to get some answers. Also, I just noticed this. The image that they post in the TWAB, if you click the 4K version, it's actually a slightly different image. We got a little moon or something. Oh, that's freaky.
Yeah, that's not Phobos. What's the other Mars moon?
Phobos and Deimos.
Deimos.
And,
that looks like more like Deimos once you Google Deimos. And I was like, yeah that weird little awkward kind of, it's not really round. But yeah, that was.
They're both nasty little potatoes. We love
really
them anyways.
That freaked me out though, because they did post this the day earlier. And then I'm like, oh, sick. I was actually hoping they'd give us a wallpaper. Like I really wanted one. So I immediately opened the 4K and I was like, wait. And I thought it was like some blemish, but that's a nice little move. Very sneaky.
Yeah. Also in this TWAB, we got an updated development roadmap. And look, that's what you do with roadmaps. They're just best guesses, and you update them the closer you get. So we've got the details of our season 3 for these late spring summer releases. So May 8th, Warmind expansion. This is going to have our seasonal Crucible rankings, private matches, Vault Space, multi-emote. We got our exotic weapon masterworks and our exotic weapon tuning. Seasonal vendor progression, heroic strike, something, nightfall challenge, something. I don't play a lot of strikes. But Bonesy, I hear you've been playing a lot of strikes.
Oh my God.
like a uncomfortable number of strikes.
So yeah, I've been all about these Nightfall rewards. I didn't grind for the ghost because I didn't play much video games, and I know weapons are always more exciting. But I did play the Pyramidion to get Silicon Aroma, the sniper, and I think it was like my second clear. Like I wasn't really trying for the first time. It was just like, let's do a Nightfall, and then we were like, oh, we got to keep doing it for the weapon. So I got it right away. And by the way, Silicon Aroma is my new favorite gun in Destiny. It's a high impact sniper. It's got snapshot. It looks so cool. It sounds amazing. And I'm using it in Rumble and it's my lock power weapon right now. I love it. I feel like I'm back to sniping and I'm really trying to hit those shots and get some clips, but
it's so snappy.
Yeah.
It's obscenely snappy.
It's very good. And then the going back to blinting people is so fun. So yeah, I don't hit perfect headshots every time, but being able to swap to my primary and finishing them off is just like, that's some old school Destiny for me. So that's been cool. So yeah, I'm excited for that gun. And I'm thinking this hand cannon this week, I'm like, it looks awesome. Objectively on paper, downright good. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I sort of think like, I got it pretty quick last night, but I built up some karma. I ran with my brother and our buddy Bonji, and the three of us did tons of strikes. And I was trying to get it for them, even though I had it right away. Tons of Pyramidion clears. So I thought I had karma on my side. It's been about 40, 45 strikes. And I got DFA this morning. And shout out to Crucible Radio patron Scorn, our very good buddy. He's got 5. And
just going, let me get one of those. You don't need all those. Just let me get one.
Well, he so kindly offered to jump in and grind out the normal speed runs with me. And he goes, yeah, so not to make anyone feel bad, but I got 3 in a row yesterday, like 3 DFAs in a row. And then I'm just like, all right, well, give me that luck. Give me that RNG. And then he gets 2 in a row while we're playing. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, I finally got it. I will say that's agonizing, and shout out to everyone going like, we need to grind. Thanks for that. I just want to get my stuff and play in the Crucible, but speed running a strike is very fun. Infinite times, not so much, but I do really like that. And I learned a thing, like the more I did it, the more I learned. Like Scorn being the last person I played with goes like, oh, you can actually jump this gap right here and you don't have to kill all the enemies and you can summon your Sparrow on the other side and drive down. I'm like, sweet. So we were actually trying to see like, how can we do this in sub 8 minutes every time? And that was fun. I just want to say shout out to mechanics that let you just run past enemies. Sometimes that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it 50 times. Fuck that. But I got the weapon, and now I've got DFA in the kinetic and Silicon Aroma in the power. I'm happy that those weapons exist. They're very cool. They both have 2 appealing perks. Some perks are not, unfortunately, but they both have the good ones, and they're both PvP applicable. One maybe better than the other. But it really reminds me of the Trials weapons from year 3. Where you've got, the multiple choices. So they're not necessarily, well, they are locked roles. It's just that, but you have some options. You can kind of choose to either your play style or to your game mode. And that's the coolest thing. So that really has always been, to me, the perfect middle ground between random rolls and here's what you get on this weapon no matter what. So I really like that choice. I like switching to open shot for PvP and rampage for PvE on DFA. It makes it such a versatile weapon. So shout out to those guns. That's all. What have you been doing, Birds?
Well, I've been playing some Rumble. I'm glad Rumble is back.
Of course.
It's interesting. I think there've been so there's one big change, which is that we went from 8 to 6. But there've been, I think, some other changes as well. I think the player base has been whittled down a little bit. It doesn't have that gloss of a brand new game mode in it. And so probably a smaller, probably fewer players this go around. I think also the sort of Rumble meta has become a little bit more solidified. People are playing a little bit cleaner. There's sort of less room to just pick up an easy win against a bunch of people who are playing their first Rumble match. But this change from 8 to 6 is It's something. It's something. Look, this is just my opinion, right? You know, it certainly achieved what I think people wanted, which was to cut down on the chaos of the spawns, right? You spawn in, there's someone on your left, your right. You have to make a choice. It can be very difficult to react. And also sometimes you just get spawned in and you're doomed, right? Even with the overshield, you know, you're not going to make it out of there. I personally enjoyed that chaos, you know, right? Like that. It felt like I was really being pushed to tighten up my reactions and my decision making as fast as possible. I think also kind of having that move to 6 means that without that chaos, what you end up having is a lot more clean 1v1s, right? You have that very pure battle of you both see each other on radar, you're both approaching, and more often than not, the best player is going to win. Unless, and this is the thing, and Bones, I know you've been talking about this a bit, unless someone manages to pick up power and there's less disruption for when someone gets that power ammo. And like, we've all been in that situation now where someone just has that perfect uptime with Acreus. They're able to pick up the next power when it comes around. And it can be very difficult to unseat that person versus what the first week felt like, where it was just changing hands a lot, right? You get pinched. You'd have all of a sudden 2 more people in the same neck of the woods. And even with your power ammo, you're getting team shots. Someone else is getting it. You get this crazy turnover of pick it up and get shot and someone else picks it up. And now it's just really making that early play for power ammo and getting into that comfortable seat, getting your early kills and just maintaining that for the rest of the game. That it's just not as, I don't know. It just doesn't feel as dynamic. It's much more of a steady state. Just lock in early and stay there.
Yeah, I was a little grumbly this morning, but I was so high on Rumble 2 weeks ago. I really was. And everyone knows me. Like, I didn't love it in D1. It wasn't my go-to. I got really like, my heart rate skyrockets and I feel like I'm not relaxing, but I pushed out my 100 Rumble wins for Grimoire. I was so high on it 2 weeks ago. And I know that, that's the cool thing is that they are experimenting. I'm so glad I got to play Rumble sooner to sort of reach this conclusion. But yeah, 6 is like, I don't know. I like that element of just, you got to look every direction when you spawn. I don't want to shoot people with overshields, like in Dead Cliffs. I think that's the only problematic spawn area really. For the most part. But yeah, 6 is like you spend a lot of time running to the fight and there's not as many people around for you to fight. I want that like, all right, well, where am I looking? It's like, nope, you spawned way over here. It doesn't matter where you look. You got to run for like 20 seconds. That is less fun for me, especially when you run there, you're so far behind on the power ammo cycle, or you finally get to the fight and someone's got it and you just like, you've never had a chance. So Rumble's not been my favorite this week, and I know these guys are, constantly making changes and meanwhile they're trying to make doubles more fun, which is awesome. So I don't want to ask for a lot, but I like 8. I liked it. I'll try 7. I think spawns were the only thing I had a problem with. So I like seeing these modes develop more than anything. It's more interesting, right?
Yeah, no matter what, like the turnaround time of having literally 1 week of Rumble and then they're making a change in time for the next Rumble, that's not nothing, right? That's pretty cool. And I'll also be honest, I remain obsessed with Rumble and I'm still going to play it as much as possible and just get those Rumble wins because, regardless of the game mode, I want to be good at it and I want to win. Yeah,
Rumble is fun. It's so good. I think it's so necessary. I posted a tweet like petition to make Rumble permanent, and I totally understand that the logistics of that doesn't mean it happens instantly. But what I was trying to say was like what I really was wanting to show and what I think I did show successfully, being that I got way more attention on that tweet than the other dumb shit I say, was that people like this and people are having fun. And here's a cool thing that they introduced to the game and people are happy and let's play it. That's great. And I love that I can get a game fast on PC and I get into games with Keen Koala and Drewski and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, here we go, man. Like, practicing for rank to see if I can beat Drewski in a 1v1. Like that's what I like. So I just want to say, like, it was fun and I'm stoked. But yeah, let's keep messing with that. And I like having new changes every week. It's pretty cool.
Jonesy, what's your Rumble loadout?
My Rumble loadout, well, I did just put on DFA, and I do think I like it. I need to work on my hand cannon game in those duels, especially when I use a controller, so that can be tough. If not, I really like Nightshade. It's not the big fancy pulse that everyone's using right now, and I'll use Vigilance Wing, sure. Nightshade is good. Kill Clip is awesome. That's a fast 3-tap on Kill Clip with that. So I like that a lot. If it's rangy, I might put on a Pulse of my energy, but what I really like doing is SMG or Sidearm, specifically Swift Solstice when I'm on my Dawnblade, because I can hover. I have a nice little clip of killing 2 people while just still in the air the entire time, reloading. It's a good one, and it works great for Rumble on close quarters. And then Silicon Neuroma. I could probably alter that based on the map. That Silicon is a little tough on Dead Cliffs, for example, but I'm enjoying sniping so much, and I've pulled off a few plays with it that really make me happy. So that's my go-to. And I'll play Dawnblade or I'll play Sentinel. I have been playing more Dawnblade, and Superman, it's so cool, but I can't hit shit with it. So I do like Sentinel for those overshields, and that's still my go-to. What about you?
Dig it. I've switched it up. I played Judgment Stochastic Variable and Flash and Thunder, which is the dopest, and I still use it all the time. For the first round of Rumble, I wanted to try something different, so I'm using something closer to Drewski's sort of standard loadout. I've got the Shinobus on. I've got the double skips on my Arc Strider. I don't even care. I look cool. I'm all orange and shit. I'll tweet a picture of it or something. But for weapons, I switched to using New City in the kinetic slot, which I'm really liking. I knew I kind of had to sort of mix up the kinetic energy balance where I've always got my hand cannon in the top slot. So I wanted to change that up. And then I know it's blue and there's no kill counter on it, but I'm using Allegro. I like Allegro. I did find a scout rifle that I really like as sort of a different option for the longer range maps. And that's Adverse Possession 9. This is the new Monarchy scout rifle. And I don't know, maybe this is really good and people have talked about it, but it's a precision archetype. It's got moving target on it, and it's got steady rounds, flared magwell. They're both great. All of the scopes on it are great. It just felt the easiest to consistently hit headshots with. I'm still using a ton of Flash and Thunder depending on the map. The uptime that you get when you get 6 ammo on pickup and can just spam it and stun people, especially with your dodge, basically always ready to go on Arc Strider, remains fantastic, but also I like to win. So I've been using my Summerlet a lot. And shotguns. I will not use Acreus because I never got one, but also because the world's got enough Acreus in it. But yeah, this Summerlet's nasty. I like Hawthorns too. I don't know. My power weapon choice probably changes the most.
Yeah, because it's like that's your play style, or those interactions are different. So it's like to use the same one, it's a little. You're like, I've done this before.
Mix it up.
Have you? I know we talk about this one all the time, but do you have Jack Queen King?
I do.
Okay, because I was gonna say pairing it with New City. I think it's deceptive because I think it feels like it's a short range hand cannon, but it's got a very strong range stat for the archetype, and then it's just it's like ricochet rounds on top of that, so you're pushing it a little far, and just absurd base stats all around. So I think that New City and Jack Queen King is a nice pairing, and I've used it before.
Interesting. So you're using ricochet rounds over accurized rounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I picked the Allegro up just because I spent a nice shader on it and I like the way it looks.
Yeah, so it looks really good as shaders for a blue gun.
Could get my money's worth out of it. But yeah, Jack Queen King's up next, and we'll see what we do with that.
I'd give it a shot. It's sticky, man. 91 aim assistance, 100 recoil direction, 86 handling, 63 reload speed.
I'll keep reading them. I love these numbers, man.
And
these are some good
I was going to say 80 impact, but that's not.
Well,
it doesn't just go up.
But still, big number.
No, it's big.
All right. Well, we are going to cut pretty quick to our interview. We've got a great interview this week with two guys from the extended Crucible Radio family. They are staples in our Discord, and they're all about helping new or newer or just players who've never gotten around to it to experience all this game has to offer in terms of going to the Lighthouse and playing some scrims and learning to play that next level play. But before we do that, we've got to give a shout out to our sponsor this week, Casper Mattresses.
Casper is a sleep brand that continues to revolutionize its line of products to create an exceptionally comfortable sleep experience one night at a time.
Look, they've got 3 different mattress models. They've got the original, my favorite, the Wave, and the Essential. Casper mattresses are perfectly designed to soothe and cradle your natural geometry.
Not to mention the breathable design helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night.
And it's delivered right to your door in a small, how do they do that size box, with free shipping and returns in the US and Canada.
But the best part is you can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free Sleep On It trial.
After all, you spend a third of your life sleeping, hopefully. Important to get good sleep. So you should be comfortable. Actually, I had a friend of mine, I took a little time off. A friend of mine came down from San Francisco, and we had a great extended weekend. And I was talking with her, I was telling her about the show, and I was saying, like, yeah, there's some upside. I get to sleep on this awesome Casper mattress. And she's like, yeah, right. I got a Casper mattress too. It's fantastic. She lives in this tiny little San Francisco apartment, and her Casper mattress is the best part of her whole apartment. It really, it just changes the game. You just sleep better than you thought you could.
So check this out. You can get $50 towards the select mattresses by visiting casper.com/crucible and using Crucible at checkout.
That's casper.com/CRUCIBLE. Offer code Crucible for $50 off your mattress purchase.
Terms and conditions apply.
Those terms and conditions, man. They apply.
They do.
Don't think they don't apply. They apply. But I think you'll find them to your liking. Anyways, let's get to this interview. This is a great one. These guys they're just a wealth of practical knowledge. They have helped so many people get up to speed with the Lighthouse and with scrims. So yeah, just pay attention. Pay attention. They're dropping some knowledge.
I learned something. You can learn something. Let's go learn.
All right. But before that, I'm feeling like a musical break.
I was like, we did the ad.
Yeah, no. I look, so seldom do we do the musical breaks these days. I'm bringing it back, old school. Well, hello there, Crucible Radio listener. We've got some fantastic music coming here this week. I cannot get enough of this album. This is so good. This is Failed Astronauts. Check them out on Spotify or go to failedastronauts.bandcamp.com. And hey, if you are a musician, we want to play on the show. All of the music you hear on Crucible Radio comes from you, our listeners. Hey man, you got some MP3s? Just send them over. Just hit me with the link. Be surprised at how good the stuff you guys make is. So send it over, crucibleradio@gmail.com.
Give you a hand when you hit rock bottom. I'll be there. Drop down the ladder, 'cause you do the same for me. When you're drowning, I'll throw you the rope. 'Cause you did the same for me.
Welcome back to the show. It's time for a very special interview. We've got a bit of a double dose going on today. We have 2 special guests, and they both have a really, really great big impact on our Crucible Radio community in our Discord. First, welcome to the show, Simply Fourth, or lovingly known as Just Simply. How you doing, man?
Hey, Bones. I'm happy to be here, man. It's definitely a change of pace to what I'm used to. Yeah, I'm Simply.
Welcome to the show.
I live in a pretty cold country.
we were talking earlier that our temperatures are the total opposite, and I'm a little jealous that it's cold where you are. But yeah, you participate in scrimmaging and trials carries, as well as help a lot of members of our little community on Discord, right?
Yeah. So my main forte has been for at least the last year and a half, maybe, is just been like helping people go floors for the first time in trials, because it's something that I find really rewarding for myself and teammates as well, to just help someone get somewhere where they've sometimes felt like that's unachievable. And we can do that in a relatively stress-free manner and keep everyone calm and have everyone in a nice, cool, calm environment as well.
Definitely.
That sounds nice. All right. Well, you are not our only guest today, as Bones announced. This was a doubleheader. Also joining us from the one and only Birds Monarchy. So happy to have him here. Mr. Dr. Grim. Welcome to the show, Grim.
A little bit of a clan favoritism here, if I do say so myself.
Well, I figured I'd mention it. Opening question. I think it's the same question for both of you, but we'll take turns. I'll allow you guys to sort it out. I suggest you fight for who gets to go first. So you guys are specifically in the business of really helping new players who have never scrimmed before, who have never gone flawless, for whom this can be a difficult or simply, like you said, like a stressful or a scary thing, a real built-up thing. When you're working with a player who's never gone flawless before, never played scrims, what are some of the things that you run into? Some of maybe the misconceptions that they have, and sort of what's your first goal with just helping someone get acclimated to this new environment?
Grim, you want to take this first?
I'll let you have it, man.
Okay, I'll take it. So speaking specifically on the trials carries aspect, my first thing of getting them sort of like into the zone is I want to get them into the party, and I want them to know that we're all relaxed and it's not going to be like a uniform, this is just a complete service kind of thing. I want them to feel like they're part of the team, they're part of the environment and everything. So immediately I want to break the ice, crack some jokes, just make them feel comfortable. And I feel like that as an icebreaker sort of just alleviates a lot of the stress that they go into starting the card. Some things that I like to do personally, I know not everyone in my team who does carries does this, but I like to, obviously trials report is a thing, and a lot of people like to go and stat check. I'll make it a point for the people, if we're carrying, I'd like the Sherpas who are Sherping with me to not read out stats, because I feel like that can instill a level of fear in people when playing. It's a mental game as well. You don't want people to go into the game and think, I've lost this already because this guy is better than me overall, or this guy's better than me this week. I like to use it as something to gauge sort of the kind of level of player that I'm against, but I'll never read it out loud, because telling someone who is a carry and just doesn't feel very comfortable point and gaming that we're against Lumi and his God Squad, it's just going to make them think I'm going to lose this right from the bat. And once you start thinking that way, you'll start playing that way. And I like to avoid that. So then the carry is in a fresh mentality and they just feel more comfortable overall. Other than that, it's just, I don't want them to sit in the back of this map either, because then they can also feel useless. I'd like them to play with the team, but them playing their life is always going to be the priority. So we'll all push together, but we'll all play together at the same time, and we won't say, hey, don't just sit at the back of the map because that's where you're going to be best at. We'd like you to be with us. We want you to feel like you've come on this journey to go from 0 wins to 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins if it was D1, and you've earned this.
Yeah, well, and I think there's the terminology is pretty vague, but there's this sense of like, there's Sherpas and then there's just people who carry, right? So it's like, all right, we're gonna knock this out. You get one carry. Try to stay out of the way and use your super when I tell you to. Versus actually, like the whole teach a man to fish kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's a very different environment, right?
Yeah. It's a very different environment. Even going to the coaching sessions, which Grim somehow managed to rope me into in October, November, which was really kind of you. Even in that kind of environment, we don't want people to feel like I say, we're robots and we'll just take you flawless.
Grim, let's go to you. I mean, when someone is entering the world of scrims, and I think even more so than trials, is really, really a very different environment than the way most of us play, just quick play or regular playlists. What do you do with new players to kind of help them get their bearings?
Well, so my general favorite opening question is, hey, after the usual, hey, how you doing, et cetera, it's what do you want to work on today? And so right away, even from that question alone, I can sort of discern where a player's at. I mean, you don't have to have an answer to that question. Some people aren't going to know, and that's a perfectly okay thing. But to me, if they do know, or it gives me something to work with right off the bat, so I can start already planning out a curriculum for them. I'm saying, hey, all right, we're going to do this, this, and this. I think these maps are going to be really good for you, maybe this loadout. And if they don't know, it's a matter of, well, okay, what guns do you like to use? Ask them questions, learning about the person. Because for me, it's really important to get to know the person who I'm working with. I don't just want them to be a face in the crowd who comes through weekly. I want them to be really someone who, it's a two-way street. They can talk to me, I talk to them, I help them out, they ask their questions and so forth. So I want to know who they are, how they play, pretty much everything about them from when they first started playing Destiny right up to where they are now. And then I try and come up with ideas and suggestions to help make them a better player and help them find the greatest success possible in their Crucible experiences.
I think one of the impressive things about actually teaching someone, but also helping them feel sort of welcome in that space. And Grim, I've heard you do this before. We played some scrims in D1 and stuff. Like, what's awesome is like the simple honesty that exists. And it's because, everyone's a little, insecure about their play. Even me jumping into scrims with new people or in trials run with guys I don't usually play with, where I'm usually fine. I'm like, I'm a little nervous here, but having that sense of honesty and the ability to just tell someone, like, if you're going to coach someone, you got to tell them a little bit what they're doing wrong. Not in the sense that like, hey, stop doing that, it's bad, or
don't die anymore.
Super critical, but the honesty and the comfort level of just saying like, hey, so I've noticed you do this. Or especially, after the games, saying something like, so what happened when that game? Like, let's talk about that. And just that sort of that friendliness with the honesty makes it such an awesome thing, because it's not just like, here's some checkpoints you need to do in this game. Let's play, do better next time, that kind of thing. And I think that makes people really realize how fun it can be and get more excited to keep going and keep trying to improve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would 100% agree with that. I think it comes from a point of empathy, because I remember the first time I went into a coaching session and I was an absolute nervous wreck. Like, you should have seen me. I was missing my shots, running into walls with my storm collar. It was so terrible. And I just got absolutely bodied. It was humiliating, but it was also a good lesson, because the fact of the matter is, you're going to have days where you're nervous, and it's like you said, you're playing with someone new, you want to leave a good impression, and just in general, you're not always going to be playing your best, and you have to know that. Mm-hmm. And you have to also know that other people are going to feel the same way. So you really want to instill a sense of confidence and calmness in them, because you need to be in the right state of mind to play the game at your best. It's of paramount importance. The psychological aspects are key in this game, so I just want to make sure that people know, hey, it's judgment-free zone. We just want the best for you, and I can't wait to see what you have to show me today during this session. That sort of thing.
Right on.
I was really scared going into my first introduction games with you, Grim, man. Those were some scary times. Oh, I got to leave a good impression. I hope he likes me. Will he call me back? Oh, man.
I'm pretty positive that my first scrim or sweat was in D1. Matchmaking, trick, searching 3. And it was I played against Birds, and I shot him a bunch of times. And that made me feel like, I know how to do this.
Story, man. I love this one.
Yeah, I was like, I'm great at this. Like, sweats are cool. I should do it. And then when I really got like, I don't know who would have my next session or something like that. It might have been like Texas Prod or something like that. And I got into a group who have been doing it for much longer. And I was like, oh my God, this is way different. And it's so fast. So I totally understand. Like, even though I feel like I'm good, you get in there and you're just like, Is this Destiny? Did we switch to something else? Because it's so fast, and that could be kind of intimidating.
Oh, for sure.
I feel the exact same way in D1 scrims.
Yeah.
I remember when I started doing some tourneys in D1, and I would go into them thinking, yeah, I've got this. We're playing pretty well as a team. We're beating the teams that we're doing friendlies against, and we thought, hey, we're going to go into a tourney.
We'll be fine.
And we got first rounded, and that was the biggest rude awakening of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Similar experience with my first tourney. It was a G-Wires threes tourney way back in the day. And I signed up to play, and we got absolutely decimated. It was like 5,000 to like 1,000 in a skirmish match, and it was really, really unfortunate. But I think the most important thing is, at that point, you want to keep your head up. You're going to say, you know what? No one goes into their first tournament and wins it, or there's very few people who can actually do that. So you have to come out and say, what can we learn from this? How do we make ourselves a better player? And I think that's really the thing. Are you going to give up at that point, or are you going to buckle down and say to yourself, this is where I get better. This is where I make the second round next time. And when you lose in the second round, that's where you say, I'm going to make the third round the time after, and so forth and so forth. And you just keep pushing and driving to get better. There's not a single person in this game who can't get better. You just have to put in the time and effort.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is, we're kind of as good as we are, right? Like, and maybe we're better at some things than others. But your skill that you're currently at is pretty much your skill. And so whether you win or lose has a lot more to do with kind of who you randomly get matched up against more than anything else. And so kind of putting aside this issue of like, well, we have to win this game, or if I lose, then I'm done. I can't handle another loss. It's much more, I think it's just more fair to yourself to say, how well did I play? Could I have played better? And the answer is always yes. And then start to figure out what that is. And that's the kind of thing that you can get every single game, whether you end up winning or losing at the end of it.
I'd certainly agree with that. It's about setting manageable goals. 1 week you say, I'm going to work on playing cover. Next you say, I'm going to work on using my vertical space. And as you work your way along, you'll just find yourself applying those habits, and you'll be surprised by how quickly you can improve. I think that's always the best part.
If we were to flip the switch on that and put it into the perspective of trials, the same sort of thing applies with how do things go better? The first thing that I do when we lose a game, if we're playing with friends, or even if we're helping someone out of the lovely Spy Puppers channel, the first thing that I'll ask to my Sherpas, and the carry is always involved in this, is what went wrong? How do we do better? And it's never usually just, oh, the other team was just better than us. It's also down to, what were we doing right? Were we controlling power ammo? Usually no. So what do we need to do when we're playing next? We need to try and fortify getting that power ammo so we have a distinct advantage. And we need to pick up on player trends. So at least in my opinion, a lot of trials is it's very mind based. It's a mind game. You have to pick up on the other team's habits to try and make a win out of it. So if you see that you're always getting pushed on one side of the map, and there's a guy who's coming around to flank on his own on the other side of the map, and they're always catching you with your pants down there, then on that round, have everyone push that one guy on his own, get him, and then you can make some plays off of that. And it's all about just learning from your mistakes, really, as a whole.
Yeah, I like that. And that's such a different conversation to be having coming out of a loss, of like not just the silence or or beating yourself up about it, but instead what did we do wrong? And being able to be enthusiastic about like, yeah, and I did this wrong too, and I need to do this differently. And to know that, everyone's cool with it, right? We're just trying to figure it out. We're on the same team.
And again, everyone gets tilted. It's just a matter of case of just try and keep it to a minimum, especially when you've got a carry. Because if you're feeling tilted, then that can sort of intimidate them to think, maybe I don't want to talk or express something because Mr. Sherpa man over here is going to snap at me. And we never want a situation like that.
Absolutely. Well, so let me ask the next question then. So we're in a good headspace, right? It's a nice, easy vibe. Everyone feels like they're on the same page. And now we're actually loading into that first match. And so simply this one's for you first. We know what the game mode is. We know what the map is. get into specifics. What are some of the the very first match that you're going in? What are some of the things that you're going to tell new players? Are you going to sort of come up with a game plan as you're flying in? Are you going to say, follow me? Sort of what's the first job you give people to try and work on?
So usually for that first round, it depends on the map. So whenever it's Countdown on Eternity, which is usually our best map, because we have a very solid strategy that works every week, day in, day out. So whenever we're getting someone in and it somehow happens to fall on that map, then we just explain the strategy to them going into it and say, try and stick close to one of these people. We'll be doing this thing, which is a more high risk kind of play to be making. And we don't want you to be caught in the crossfire. Whereas if you go with this person, you can still be of a great help by getting a longer range angle and you won't be getting pushed. But if we're talking outside of that map, again, it's the same sort of thing. We will, for the first round, it's usually saying to them, sit back a little bit, watch what one of us is doing, and go and stick with that person. And just try and team up with them, because especially in Destiny 2, it's a massive numbers game. If you have two people against one, the team that has two people are usually going to come out on top because of the time to kill in this game. So it's usually just a case of keeping them close. And if they don't know the map, there was one guy who we helped a few weeks ago, and he actually had the Crucible radio call-out maps open the whole time while we were playing.
There you go. You can find those on crucibleradio.com.
Plug that in there.
Shameless plug.
But I'll never forget this because it was really quite amusing. The guy's name was called Poe, and he had his daughter on the mic next to him, and she was laughing at the call-out map because on Eternity there was Bath, and none of us knew that there was a place on the map called Bath. She was like, "What? Why is there a place called Bath and a place called Pool?" And I was like, "I only know Pool. I don't know Bath."
Look, other people hearing words that come from Destiny, it's impossible. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to laugh at you, and you're going to be like, you know what? That's fine. I understand. If you try to, if someone overhears a Destiny conversation, it's always goofy. You just got to roll with it. That's the price we pay.
You wouldn't be able to imagine the awkwardness of the conversation when I told my girlfriend that I was an Arc Strider, and she was like, "But that's not your job."
She's like, "I'm sure you are."
Okay, Grim. Same question for you, but for this one, I will start off by sharing the first time I think we ever played together. And this was just a real casual scrim situation. Just had some folks and put together a lobby. And diving right in, it's like, hey, like I'm okay at Destiny, right? Like I can make a shot every now and then. But what I was not prepared for was just like the amount of call outs and chatter. The focus on giving information, on keeping people updated and being useful both in the way that you're playing, but also in terms of giving information to your teammates at the same time. And how big a shock that can be where I'm just still trying to say, yeah, he's over there. He's way over there. There's one, yeah, way in back while you've gone through 10 or 20 different call outs. Yeah, what's that experience when you have a new player coming into that?
Oh, man. So firstly, I want to say, I think you're underselling your Destiny ability, man. I remember you killing me a fair number of times that day. But
well, I'm not going to be the one to say it. You can say it if you want.
Being said, for me, I think communication is of the utmost importance when it comes to Destiny. And I mean, yes, I feel like that's stating the obvious, but especially in this game, I think the way Destiny 2 plays right now, that is even more true than it used to be in the past. For me, it all came from a time when, when I first started playing, I was never the best in the duels, and I'm still not the best in the duels going on. So I thought to myself, well, I want to be a helpful team player. So what can I do to make myself a better team player? And I watched a video about Dr. Lupo and Ramblin actually making call-outs to each other, and I was just so blown away by that. And I'm like, I think I should aspire to be like that someday. And in a lot of ways, I try and reflect the importance of that to the people I'm working with, because the fact of the matter is, there's going to be a lot going on, and even if it's their first time playing or their fourth time playing, I'm still going to be throwing the same amount of information at them. but I want to teach them how to be better team players as well. Because a lot of these guys, some of them are adults, married with kids and all that. They're at the age where their reflexes aren't as fast. But I think in a lot of cases, you don't always need to have the best reflexes in this game. If you can just say, hey, there's a guy on me, I need help. Can you come get me? And I'll be like, hey, on my way back, just play your life for a bit of time till I get there. I think, teaching people the ability to do that's really important. So I always recommend, look at those amazing Crucible Radio callout maps that Simply mentioned earlier. But overall, just the number one thing that I want to impress upon people is that the callout doesn't have to be perfect the first time. In fact, the callout doesn't even have to be accurate. You can say, there's a guy on the flag, and he's to your left, and it's on your right, and maybe I go in there and I look the wrong way and I get killed the first time, but that's better than nothing at all. So my mentality is, you want to start somewhere. You want to start just by able to, you want to be able to paint a picture for your team, and you will get infinitely farther by being able to do that than by having nothing on the comms at all. And so just don't be afraid to talk. And the last thing I'd say is, I always tell this to my students, come on, man, I just want to hear you talk. I don't care if you tell me about your favorite song today or the weather, but just give me something to work with here, and we are going to do great. And that's important for me.
I definitely agree with that. Same with a character. I'd rather someone talk, like I say, become part of the team. Any call out is a good call out. A lot of Destiny is to do with micromanaging the information that you're given about whether or not where someone is, how weak they are, where you are. One of the best examples that I can use is telling someone that you're behind them and then saying, okay, we're going to push through this door together, as just an anecdotal example.
One thing I have to highlight here that's been the theme of this sort of stuff that I think is so cool. Both of you guys have described very singled out mechanics or things or habits, and it's never just, okay, here's something you do and you will go flawless, and here's something that you do and you will win a tournament. It's like Grim says, like, all right, let's work on your vertical game. Or simply when you say, like, we got to control power ammo in this game, or the previous game we kind of struggled with this aspect. It's always simplifying it down to little mechanics or habits to work on in the moment, rather than this sort of catch-all, like, if you do these 5 things, you'll go flawless every time. Because going flawless is winning 7 games, and that's a lot of games. And sometimes the 6th game, I've had games where the 6th or 7th game I've played terribly. So anything can happen. Your team can sort of help you out. It's never just about, change your whole perspective or change your habit or instantly become better and then play better forever. And the way you guys sort of analyze little problems or little moments or little habits or little good things to sort of highlight those and work on that is really what helps people the most. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Yeah. Again, thank you. Highlighting these little things. It's how you got to break down people's games. The point of, like you say, the little things that are going to play a part in the bigger picture.
Yeah. They all sort of add up into, all right, I've improved overall, or my KD has gone up, or whatever. But it is very common. People just look right at the KD and think, well, I need that number to go up. Well, 60 different things can happen to make that little percentage improve.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not really much of a fan of using KD as a skill indicator, at least, because KD can fluctuate and it can change. You could be terrible at the game in when you first start, like me in D1, and then as you gradually build yourself up and you gradually pick up on these little things that you're doing, and analyzing your own footage is one of the best things that you can do. Sit there and say, okay, where did I go wrong in my own game? And watch yourself. Did I need to push that angle? No. Did it work? No.
Good connection to make there. Well, so let's talk about some of these skills, right? Because there's so many different little things in each player and as a team that add up to a win. And I imagine probably the answer is a little bit different for trials than it is for just like a deathmatch style scrim environment. So I guess, one thing that I do when there's a new challenge that I'm kind of working up to, whether it's like, okay, you know, we're going to play some scrims going up, or I want to play trials, or, you know, take your pick, is to find like small ways to work on that, right? So I know that, okay, well, movement is really important to trials. So let me go work on my movement. I'm just going to play quick play, but I'm going to focus on getting around the map quickly. I mean, that's a great way to sort of build up the individual skills that you need. So I guess, Grim, for people who wanted to go into a scrimming scenario for the first time, and do more than just, you know, have fun and get to know people, but actually have some success being thrown in the deep end there, what would you say probably are the, you know, the number 1, 2, and 3 things, you know, mechanically, actually playing the game, running around, shooting people, and moving around, that are going to be most important to your success in that environment?
Oh man, that's a really good question. It's also a bit of a tough one. So I will preface and say that as a mostly console player and a very, very mediocre PC player for Destiny 2, I haven't had as much scrim experience within Destiny 2 as I would have liked. And I'm going to say we're still seeing that scene sort of shape up. So I'm not really sure how it's going to play. But in general, for the coaching sessions that we do, I'd say that I kind of break it down the way that we're going to play, right? So I think it's not so much a mechanical thing that I want to see. It's the 3 things I look for. How can we control the map? How can we control power ammo? And how can we communicate with each other? And I think those are the 3 most important things when it comes to winning the game, mechanically speaking. Because I feel like with the way the game plays right now, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily about can you win every single gunfight by yourself. I mean, yes, that's very important. And I don't want to understate the importance of, you know, having a good shot and all that. But I feel like these things overrule that in the sense that, you know, you're not going to find much success if you find yourself constantly spawning on, let's say it's Fortress, and you constantly find yourself spawning at Catch the whole time, and you can't get out of that area of the map. You're just going to be pinched in there and dying a lot. So that's where map control comes in. It's like a game of chess, and you want to force the opponent to make moves that benefit you. You're making them dance your dance, and you're making them make like the lesser of 2 evils. I like to look at it in terms of choices. Like it's, you know, in a chess when you have a fork, right? You want to force them to do something that's going to hurt them no matter what they do, but they're going to choose the one that hurts the least, and you're going to capitalize that and use it to further snowball your momentum. And I think that really translates well into power control as well, because I think a really big aspect of this game, whether it was before the patch or whether it's presently, is just can you keep the power off the map? Because with the game right now, it's clear to see that power is just superior in every way to you know, the primaries we have. It's just infinitely more powerful. I think of Acreus, I think of Colony, and the counterplay that you're provided to deal with that is just not exactly the most substantial. So I think it is a nice skill gap thing. You know, if your team can control the power spawns, you know, you're going to be able to chain that really effectively, because you can keep an Acreus from, you know, the first power spawn to the second one with just how quickly it comes up right now. And I think that's really important, just because you can keep using that to chain your momentum. And what can a team do when the whole other team has fusion rifles, rockets, snipers, and shotguns? You know what I mean? It's just very difficult, and it can lead to massive snowballing escalation, which is why I'd say it's extremely important to focus on that right now. And then the final thing I'd throw in there is just about callouts. You know, it's like, you know, when something doesn't go your way, you know, when you make a push or you're getting bottled into the back of the map or they have power on you, how are you going to say, you know, you need to get back together. Here, come to me. You know, let's regroup. Let's find each other. They have an Acreus. You know what I mean? Anything like that is going to set your team up for better situations to deal with the issues at hand and to make the most out of the situation, whether it be good or bad. So that's why I'd say, for me, those are the 3 most essential things right now for scrims play and general play.
I want to follow up on this, and this is a difficult question, but you know, we hear that term a lot, like map control. We want to control the map. We want to lock down power. What does that actually mean? Like, describe a situation in which your team has successfully controlled the part of the map with power ammo in it.
Okay, so I think that one of my favorite examples would probably be the Burnout. And let's say we are playing Control now. So assuming that for the listeners, you know where A, B, and C spawns are. So right off the bat, you know, let's say you need to be getting that first zone on the map. So it's control. If you're playing any quick play mode, basically, and there's an objective involved, you need to be taking advantage of that. So I always like to say that when you're playing control, you never want to engage unless you have the zone advantage or you're actively fighting to retake zone advantage. So my first thing is I'm going to say, let's be pushing B, get outside, get angles, so that way, when they come in, you have many angles, but you're able to focus on the same target for that super fast time to kill, basically. So you're posting up, you're controlling all possible access points to the B while taking the map advantage away from them. And let's say now that they've come to B, you've teamed really well, you wipe them off. Now you have a point advantage. And let's say you cap the point and they trickled in slowly, you got double the points for that because they only had one zone and you had two. And even then, you're slowly starting to see your lead build. So now I think this comes back to the scrims back in D1. This is something that I took away from that. I think it's still very relevant for D2. You're saying, okay, they're going to spawn here. So we're going to go meet them in this place at this time because they're going to be right off spawn. And because we're coming in and the whole team, died at different times, we're able to only find two of them when there's four of us there. And mathematically, that's just a very advantageous situation. And you're going to win that every time. And because, you're catching them off spawn there, you say, okay, well, they're there. Now we're going to rotate back to where the other two likely spawned and you kill them. And you just keep the enemy team split and from ever fully regrouping. And then now let's say we throw power into the mix. So, power spawns at those just beyond the doorways on either side of the map. So let's say you just got a team wipe, right? And so you say, all right, one guy, you're going to stay here for the power spawn because it's up in 10 seconds. And the rest of the team is going to push to the other side. Because what happens is they are not going to spawn where you currently are. That just straight up will not happen. So when, your team is getting there, it doesn't matter if they go in against a full group of four or whether they're going in against just two of them. If they have the number advantage, they'll likely win the fight. And even if they don't, I always specify the need to stall it out. Hey, buy me some time. I'm coming in with a fusion rifle right now, and I'll be able to kill them if you can just play your life and get them off it and just keep them from picking it up. And in that way, you're controlling the pace of the game and the way it's being played. You're managing the way the enemy team goes into engagements. You're forcing them to fight your way. And in the end, that's how you can create those easy wins, if that makes any sense.
It does, and good job trying to explain the impossible there. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, and simply, maybe this is a slightly different answer, but let's start at the beginning. For a player who wants to have some success and play well in their first soon-to-be flawless trials ticket, what are the top 3 skills that they should be trying to take into that?
I'd say the most important things definitely is communication. Even if a teammate can't shoot where as well as they'd like to, communication is going to pick up the theoretical weight that you're carrying, and you'll be able to at least use some information from them to be useful to organize collapses. So call out, say, hey, there's a guy who's on his own. We'll say, for instance, distant shore. There's a guy who's in Shrine on his own, and we have a guy on B. We have a guy in the lake, and we have a guy who's on Sea Cave. And if let's say the pupper, for sake of conversation, was to go down, and they was to say, "Hey, I died here. The guy who killed me is in Shrine," then we have that information straight away. Usually, it's accompanied by he's weak or he's full health. And we can all push in now from the separate angle, all the separate angles, and cover each doorway that he could possibly come out from, and then we just call out which direction he's going, and we can collapse on him there and get the pick. As far as controlling the map, that's another one of the most important things. Is again, I'm going to use distant shore survival as a topic of conversation here. The most important places on the map to control, because there's 2. You have the opening to begin with in the middle, where the power ammo spawns in the river. You need to keep control of that. You need to make sure that you win that fight to stay there. And there's multiple different angles that you can take. Normally, I like to have some people run into the dark cave from spawn. If you spawned back boats, if we're calling it by D1 terminology, and you'd have 2 people there, one Sea Cave and one maybe pushing Shrine, and then you've got all different ground that you can keep covered. So I'd say map awareness. I wouldn't say map awareness now with the no radar thing. but definitely map control, communication are the two biggest things. And then on a slightly lesser note, it's not putting yourself in a position where you're going to get picked easily. A lot of people question, how should my in-air maneuverability be? And in-air maneuverability is sort of like it's an off-topic, because if you're in mid-air, you're going to be seen from more angles. You're going to be an easier target. So I like to say, keep your time in air to a minimum. Using your aerial space, I prefer to use it more as either an offensive tool to catch someone off guard, or as a defensive tool. You're weak, someone's going to push you, you jump in the air, and you might not win the engagement, but you have a better chance of staying alive because they might not be expecting you to be in the air. And on top of that, you can bait grenades into if you feel like you're going to get pushed. Usually that's in like choke points, any tight doorway. Speaking retribution, distance short, anywhere. There's a few in like the bridges on Burnout as well. See, obviously throwing panic grenades and everything isn't the best advice, but if you feel like you're going to die and someone's going to push you, you could always throw something at your feet to soften them up for when someone else was to go and collapse on them. Another thing is keep an eye on where your teammates are. This goes for everyone, whether or not it's a pupper or a Sherpa. If you've seen that your entire team has just died in X place and you're right behind them, get the hell out of Dodge.
All right, so follow-up question. You touched on this a bit, but go a bit deeper, and Grim will give you a round two. Tell me specifically about movement. I think this for me also was a really big shock, just to see the difference in how really strong Trials and Scrim players move around the map. I mean, you talk about staying out of the air, and early on you had mentioned just sort of staying behind the Sherpas and kind of using them for positioning. Tell me about movement. Tell me how to avoid making mistakes when I'm moving, and how to really maximize my movement.
Whenever you're in an engagement and you're looking to go and fight a man who is in the middle of a lane, try and make your situation as beneficial to you and as disadvantageous to them in the same way. So if you're peeking a lane, try and make sure that you can easily get to cover back. You never want to be out in the lane with your pants down, because there's a chance that you could go out a little bit too much and there's not enough space for you to get back into cover, and he's got him there and his family all ready to just gun you down. And movement-wise, you've always got to look at what's in your toolkit. So hunters, proudly repping, all have the dodge ability, which is amazing for just a panic situation where you're like, oh, everyone's there, let's get out, just double crouch, I'm out there. So there's that. And then playing your aerial space, I like to use movement or my jump abilities for just getting around the map. So hunters still have the trick that they had in D1 with what you could use with bones and just double jump and bounce your head off the ceiling and go flying around the map. You can still do that to an extent with just strafe jump. I always advocate strafe jump when playing a hunter, because it gives you the most aerial control. If you jump off the map and you still have a jump, you can easily just tilt yourself back over. And it's the one that people least expect because it has the most options with engagements. You can go and charge at someone, jump once, and if they're weak and you're weakened, you're both pretty much going to take a melee. Instead of running in there and going for the melee, which can sometimes be a 50-50 kind of situation. And some opponents will try and go for that melee. Some of them won't, and they'll try and shoot you. But especially with strafe jump, what you can do is you can sort of cancel out your commitment to that engagement. So you can hold back your stick or your mouse and just jump back a little bit and reset that engagement. They're going to go for that melee, but now you have the time because you've jumped back. You can just shoot them while they're sort of in a cooldown from trying to swing at you, and you can just shoot them in that time. Other things, especially with the Go Fast update, Warlocks can now floof around the map and use that to their advantage just to get into positions quicker. Movement is less about how can I engage someone from air, like I was saying, and it's more about how quickly can you rotate around the map. What things in my toolkit can I use to get me from point A to point B to, like Grim was saying earlier, to go and cut them off from their spawn. If we killed 2 people and then we killed another 2 people 10 seconds later, chances are they're going to spawn at different ends of the map. How can we kill those 2 people, follow up with the other 2, get to the other side of the map as quickly as possible using whatever terrain we have? You can bounce off the ceiling with a warlock, or you can Titan skate, or you can, like I say, bounce your head off the wall with a hunter and just try and get yourself there so you can get yourself in an optimal position.
Yeah, I can say it. I feel like I've started every sentence with this, but it is really a shock to see just how fast players move around the map when they're rotating, where it's just everything to try and keep up with it. It is breakneck speed and just your best kind of movement just to be able to keep up with good players as they rotate around. It's a shock.
It's a lot harder to track someone visually who's going at the speed of the Flash.
Yeah, go figure, right?
It's science.
Okay, Grim, what about you? Movement. What should people be doing?
Oh, man. So, I think with movement, my number one tip is sliding around. I think sliding is one of the most important things you can do in the game because it's temporarily taking you off radar. It's very good. It makes you a harder target to hit. And the fact of the matter is, and I think this is one of my favorite things that D2 did from D1, is the fact that you can slide pretty much infinitely with no sprint lock, and you won't just start walking randomly. And so I see no reason not to slide.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's absolutely
I agree
essential.
with that.
But to weigh in on movement...
Always be sliding.
Always be sliding, yes. To weigh in on movement, I think the fastest way around the map is if you're on a Warlock to Warlock Surf. If you're on a Titan to do sort of a Titan burst kind of glide, you're holding your jump, just going in a horizontal line, and then Hunter, use your strafe jump to get around the map. But I think the thing that's really important about movement is, for me at least, is the single greatest tool for outplay potential in this game. And what I mean by that is, if you move so well that your opponent misses all their shots on you, or you get into a position where you can exploit getting behind them and all that, and just, give yourself a massive advantage in a fight, that is so essential in doing well in this game. Now, before I go into that, I want to specify that there's a huge difference between the way, PC plays and the way that PlayStation plays between the two. So some stuff like, that works on console doesn't work necessarily on PC. But I think in general, for speed around the map, you want to be getting around as quickly as possible. But you also, when you're doing it, you want to be looking for where you're going and playing as much cover on the ways you can while getting there quickly. For example, I think Midtown's a great example. There's a lot of lanes. So if you know that sort of center alleyway with the stairs right in the middle, one going to Outset Street and one going into Rugs, if you're going down that lane, you are extremely vulnerable to anyone who just shows up and decides to shoot at you when you're there. So you've got to be really, really careful to not get caught out there. So you're saying, okay, well, if I commit to this fight and I've looked at my radar and there's maybe like just one ticker red on the far side, how quickly can I make it to the cover at the stairs before they could potentially kill me? And so you always need to be evaluating that just before you do it. But I think in terms of speed and all that, I'm a huge fan of hunters with stompies. I'm a Titan main, of course, so it's a far cry from Titan skating, what we have now, unless you're using the new scroll the mouse wheel down trick for catapult jump on PC. But it's still enjoyable, and Warlock glide's in a great place. But I actually had a friend, Crasher Core, who tested that out. And the results were transversive steps, Warlock, if you're surfing properly, will get you around the fastest, followed by Stompy's Hunter, followed by, Dune Marcher's Titan and all that. And I think that, well, that's good. It also really segues nicely into the whole discussion of, did hunters get shafted by the mobility update? Because, I heard some people saying that, hunters got completely screwed over by this because, mobility doesn't affect sprint speed. Now that they've made all the other classes fast enough to match that, where's the niche for hunters? And, despite all that, I think that hunters are in a really good spot because, you get great neutral games and the dodge is just phenomenal. And that rotates nicely back to the whole point about movement being the key for outplay potential. Like the ability to pull the trigger while dodging, like let's say you have a shotgun out, you do it once, you're on to the next person and all that. Those few frames where you're moving out of the way and it's really hard to shoot at you. It's just those can be the key to saving your life and all that, or where you dodge backwards to reload your gun when you're surrounded by people. What you can do with it is almost endless, and the versatility it provides your playstyle is just, for me, very important. It's the same thing with Blink, on Warlock, where you can like blink over someone's head and, just jumping around, being on top of them, being really nimble and quick and hard to hit. And I think for me, that's absolutely essential in terms of the way you play. And I mean, to go back to the whole hunter thing as well, there's the discussion of mobility and how high you can jump and all that, and your choice of, stompies with like control. Should you be forced to run stompies if you want to go all over the place quickly? I think for movement, to make everything on par, I wouldn't mind seeing like a slight buff to the speed of triple jump. I think that'd be interesting. But I mean, I'm not a game developer. I don't really know, but I'd just be curious to see how that would play out. But in general, yes, I'd say anecdotally, and even from what I've seen, whether it be the best Sweats players running like high mobility, you see Lumi running 8 mobility on PC the other day when he returned back to D2. I think that, mobility and map movement really is everything. So to put it up in a nice little bundle, because I know I rambled on a bit, prioritize moving fast from piece of cover to piece of cover, and, use your movement to make the other person confused, basically, while moving around the map in a unit. That's what I would say.
A lot of people, when you're challenging a doorway, naturally they're going to be aiming at head height. And going back to the conversation about knee sliding earlier, if you knee slide around that, they're gonna have to adjust their aim real quick to recenter themselves to hit you. Whereas you're probably, you should be, if you're knee sliding around, already aimed, ready to go, and you can still get that first shot off. And if you're using something like a hand cannon, shout out to DrGrim, you can quite easily and comfortably get those shots off while they're still like, oh, he's here, he's not where I was intending him to be, I need to react. And you've got that split second over them on time to kill then.
You mentioned Dire Promise, and I feel like we're always curious, what are your guys' go-to loadouts right now, especially about a couple weeks after Go Fast? What's your go-to weapon and subclass?
Grim, you want to take this first?
Yeah, I'd be glad to go first. So as a proud Titan main, I am in love with playing my Sentinel with some Syntheseps, punching some fools in the face to get an overshield, being Captain America with my shield, and then for guns, I absolutely adore Dire Promise. It feels very good right now, whether it be on console or PC. I love its time to kill. It's the same number of shots as a Better Devils, but it's got a faster rate of fire, so it's a faster optimal time to kill, albeit with a slightly less forgiving room for error. And statistically, it's just very stable. It feels excellent. So I will run that with either a Hero's Burden SMG for those really short range maps, because I don't want to use Last Hope anymore, just because I'm sick of using it. And from playing on PC, I've learned that 900 RPM SMGs are absolutely very, very good there. So I really enjoy having that both on console and PC. Spray them down to half melee. Hero's Burden in specific, because it's got the highest effective range of any 900 RPM SMG. And the Go Fast update zoom buff of the 1.3 times multiplier really, really made it feel good. Or for the slightly longer range maps, I will probably run a Darkest Before, just because I'm not a huge fan of Uriels anymore, just with the aim assist fall off at range and all that. It just doesn't feel as good. And I've always preferred pulse rifles over auto rifles anyway. So I use that, and I run Arrowhead Break on it. And this is something I don't think a lot of people know. Arrowhead Break is effectively a counterbalance mod in that it makes the recoil pattern almost vertical. So it's a lot less jumpy than with the other ones. And yes, I do give up a bit of range for that one, but I've got it masterworked for range anyway. So it's pretty monstrous. And pretty much that's what I like to run on a go-to basis with my Sommerled D shotgun.
Fine choice.
Nice. What about you, Simply?
What about you?
So me, I like to be the caped Cascade Warrior, playing the old Hunter. I tinker around with all classes, but for the past 6 months, I can probably say I'm a qualified Hunter. I've been to Bungie University. I've got my qualification. I can talk about
your
this.
certificate is in the mail. It's coming soon.
So basically, since I started playing Hunter, I've been playing not Night Stalker. So I'm playing a hell of a lot of Golden Gun and a hell of a lot of Arcstrider, even before the Go Fast update where it got buffed. So when I'm playing Golden Gun in PvP, I like to opt for the top tree, but without the 6-shot enabled. So not everyone knows this. It's not a common fact, but it's there. So with 6-shot enabled on Golden Gun, if you're taking down someone with a super, it will take 2 shots to kill. If, however, you haven't unlocked the 6-shot and you're just using everything else, it's a 1-hit kill with Golden Gun to a super. And if you were to use the bottom tree, then you need a headshot to kill someone in a super. So it's the closest thing to a D1 Golden Gun in that sense. And if I'm playing Arcstrider, which it's probably my favorite class, if I'm honest, I like to run the bottom tree with arc bolt grenades. Just there's so much synergy with just getting your abilities back with that bottom tree on the Arcstrider, and especially if you were to couple that with Lucky Raspberry over the Stompies, holy as they are, you're just going to be a grenade machine. And as far as loadout for guns, pre-Go Fast update, I'd usually go for the Sondok C, which is the blue cousin of the Antiope. I found a lot more success with that, mainly just the recoil direction felt a lot more natural to me over the Antiope. Partnered with usually a Uriel's, and then sometimes I tinker around with a Time Worn Spire and Last Hope. But my loadout that I'm using now since the Go Fast, I am loving the Dire Promise. It is my favorite gun in the game. It feels like every shot really connects with that gun. The stats are well balanced. Perks, whilst some people might argue aren't the best for PvP in terms of triple tap, it feels the most natural to me. And in my energy slot, I'm flicking around with a few things. I'm trying, if I'm playing a longer range map, I like to use the Scout Adverse Possession from New Monarchy, also rep New Monarchy. Or if I'm playing a mega aggressive
adverse
build.
Possession.
Yeah.
I just went through all my scouts the other night trying to find one for the energy slot that I liked. I took them all out and went through every single one of them, knowing that I was going to settle on exactly one, and that was the one that came out at the end. That's a good scout rifle.
It is very solid.
Yeah, just very stable, very vertical. The moving target perk on it is great. Yeah, good one right there. Take note.
And then if I want to play mega aggressive, which is usually what I'm doing, I like to couple it with the Last Hope. Sorry, Grim. And
Last Hope stays less open.
I feel like with, especially with how you pick your engagements in this game, you need to pick your engagements tailored to the kind of loadout that you're using. You're never going to go into scout range or even like mid to long range with the Dire Promise Last Hope loadout. You're basically asking to get killed. So as long as you're just playing these close angles, you can use the Dire Promise for a short to mid range, and then the Last Hope to just clean up shop in close CQC. And then to cover like the medium to long range, I like to use my favorite sniper, the Erentil FR4. The fusion rifle.
I see what you did.
Yeah, so that's my current loadout.
So that's like that's the modern Thiessen from Destiny 1.
Yeah, that would be. An energy slot is that's the biggest variable within my loadout. Sometimes Darkest Before, but I don't get on too well with Darkest Before. Or it's the Scout, sometimes Hero's Burden as well.
Man, so much praise for Dire Promise that I just refuse to use it. I don't know why.
Oh, come now. It's
Get over it.
I'm always just like, nah, I don't want to. Like, I don't have any good reason.
Are you one of those DFA people? Like, you know.
Oh, no, let's not talk
Boy,
about
did I
DFA,
just get one
please.
this morning.
Oh, no.
After
Something
40 plus strikes, let's not talk about it.
I think you made Simply jealous. That's why it's not talking anymore.
Okay, well, you guys, I mean, listeners, if they haven't proven themselves as good teachers, then I don't know what to do at this point. You guys are awesome, and you have a wealth of knowledge, and it's really cool that you bring this to other people and help them, and as opposed to just, grinding out those games yourselves. Last question real quickly, you can say like just pick one from the bullet points. But we've got Warmind coming out on May 8th, and it's time to get hype. I'm pretty excited after seeing this picture. So from this development list, and you can't say private matches because duh. But what are you most excited about?
Assume that one. Come on.
It's a given. That's gonna be awesome. But what from Warmind are you most looking forward to?
I can't put it down to one thing. I think it
You can
begins
say
with
stuff.
begins with P and ends in private matches.
Oh man!
But no, I'm looking forward to some of the exotic sandbox changes as well. And I'm not sure if they are coming out with this update or maybe if it's one pushed out for later. But exotic masterworks is going to be something that's going to be kind of interesting to change up the meta kind of,
I believe,
slightly.
Yeah, I believe Weapon Masterworks is happening along with exotic weapon sandbox changes. And it looks like they have in a sort of vague summer timeline exotic armor, and maybe that will bring exotic armor masterworks. But yeah, they're doing weapons first. I'm pretty excited for that.
I've just been having dreams of a masterwork Acreus with handling on it. And
Oh no!
Good. That's what the world needs. Great.
Why? You're evil.
that's it. The beans have been spilled. There's
I'm
no
leaving the
going
plan
back.
simply. I can't live with this.
That and also competitive is the competitive matchmaking. I'm trying to think. It's sort of like a league play kind of thing. I'm looking forward to that. And there's obviously going to be exploits, and people are going to be able to farm things in that as well. But I'm looking forward to just seeing the diversity that can bring into games, and whether or not that can revive competitive Destiny as well, because that's one thing that I've really missed, just scrimming and like truly having to work as a team to take down another team as well. Other than that, I'd like to go into another Warmind.
For sure.
For myself, it's got to be the multi-emote. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to sound like a parrot here.
Yeah!
I'm going to sound a bit like a parrot here. If I'm not allowed to say private matches, it's definitely, I'm really excited to see what they do with Exotic Weapon Masterworks, whether they allow for, extra stats to be added on, or it's just, tracking of kills and orb generation, because then we can get, if it's orb generation, we can get OG Telesto back. Just saying, that's going to be a lot of fun because Telesto is the besto. But no, I'm very excited for seasonal Crucible rankings. I feel like the potential for what that could bring to the game and how that could help the player base it's ginormous. I mean, execution-wise, we don't know how it's going to come out till it does, but I feel like it's the type of thing that if Bungie does it right, it could really breathe some life into a player base which has been on the decline for this past while. So I'm really, really excited for the potential of that. And aside from that, if I can't say private matches, I'll say the result of private matches as well. I look forward to being able to scrim again and, play with my friends, use some really stupid like guns against other people using stupid guns. Those are some of my fondest memories back from D1.
Oh, I cannot wait for Fighting Lion.
Lion
Rumble.
versus Fighting Lion. Oh man. No, that's gonna be absolutely superb. It's gonna make coaching sessions a hell of a lot easier because instead of, just matchmaking in, you're playing against teams who, they have comms as well. So it's a really authentic experience. We can also fit more people in for lessons. That's going to be great. And of course, what it means is Crucible Radio Faction Wars, hopefully, where we're going to sweep, Bird's Monarchy will sweep through the nation and terrorize everyone because that's how we roll, right, Birds?
Yeah, but we're nice about it.
We're nice about it, yeah.
We're gracious.
We're very nice.
As this thing is happening.
We're very nice. But yes, that is the hopeful goal that comes with private matches, at least in my mind.
Hear, hear. Well, guys, this has been a pleasure talking with you. Hopefully, soon enough, we will have our private matches. We will have our new numbers next to our names for us to stress out about, and some new stuff to grind. We need more shards to get that Acreus that nobody is asking for right now.
What is
thank you so
Acreus?
much for doing this. Yeah. What? Yeah. If people want to learn more about you guys as players, or if they want to get involved, they want to do some scrim coaching, they want to see a flawless lighthouse trip for the first time, how can they find you guys?
Grim, you want to take this first?
Sure. So, My Discord is the same as my username. It's DrGrim218. If you're in Crucible Radio, you're more than welcome to send me a message if you have any questions. If you want coaching, you're always welcome in hashtag ScrimChat. We've got it for Xbox. We've got it hopefully for PC in the near future, something like that, if I ever manage to get good with mouse and keyboard. And of course, you'll find me on PlayStation. That is where I run it out of. And occasionally I stream Twitch TV, DrGrim218. So I'm always up for questions there if you happen to stop by and for some reason I'm live.
All right, and Simply?
Yeah, so you can usually catch me in and around the Crucible Radio Discord in Scrim Chat or Spire Puppers. Those are my usual hubs where I'm talkative in. Alternatively, you can catch me on Twitter, which is the same as my PSN, which is Simply Fourth. There's Twitch, which is the same, Simply_Fourth. I stream basically whenever I can after work and whenever my schedule allows for it. Usually streaming either the coaching sessions that I've run in the EU time slot or trials, carries, pupper runs, raffles with viewers, or just you can find me on the street if you want
to. Say hi.
Out there somewhere.
Yeah, I guess.
Do you want to wrap it up?
I guess that does it.
All right, boys. Well, thank you again for coming on. And thank you, most importantly, for having such an awesome impact on our community specifically and reaching out to anyone who's interested and welcoming us into some Scrim games too, because, the hosts like to slide in sometimes. It's always fun. I seriously, every time I do it, I'm always like, I got to do this more. And it's a great learning experience. Even if I feel like I know what I'm doing, I always learn something. So good job, guys. Keep it up. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you again for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, it's been a serious privilege.
Of course.
All right, see you out there, guys.
Take care. Hope to see you in the scrims.
Okay, guys.
So do we have to do an outro since Swain usually says those things? Should we just skip it?
Yeah, he's the one keeping us honest about that. I mean, for Swain's sake, we should represent ourselves well. We can't let this whole thing go to shit the 1 week we're on our own here.
Guys, what did you do?
Yep. Okay, here's the deal. Crucible Radio. It's the name of the podcast, and you can find it on the internet.
Hey, dummies, didn't you know?
It's not that... how about this? Here's a plug. How about you join our Discord? It's so easy. You're probably on Discord already, but you're going to meet some great people to play with, to talk about Destiny, to shoot the ish, to oot the ish on a day-to-day basis. And if you really want to take it to the next level, you can hang out with Grim. You can hang out with Simply. You can play some Trials. You can play some Scrims. And it is good for your health. It will make you healthier and you will live significantly longer. Discord.gg/Crucible Radio.
Also, final plug, can't tell me shit because Swain's not here. Go listen to Gaming in Hell. It's my new podcast with my best friend Dan. It came out a couple weeks ago. We've got 2 or 3 episodes up online right now already. Spotify, iTunes, the whole deal. Gaming in Hell. We're going to talk about the internet and why it's shitty. It's a lot of fun.
Yep, we love it and we're part of it. And it's weird. And
it's gross and we need it.
Yeah, no, you guys are doing a great job and it's a great show. Go check it out. And thank you everyone for listening. You and Swain will see everyone next week.
Yeah.
I will be kicking back.
Enjoy your time off.
I mean, I'll just be...
Or traveling for work, whatever.
Yeah. Let me think of it as a vacation.
Yeah.
Let me delude myself.
Yeah.
All right, till next
bye,
time.
everyone.
My body is a devil. I guess we're like a house. It's all the windows smash. The bricks are through. These walls will never fall. The blood you bleed to my veins. The sun shines in this broken glass. Gotta break the dumb stain. Say the things we're left to say. All the times we had for me. What can I say? Destroying myself.
What's up, everyone? Bones here. Do you like podcasts? Do you like chill conversation? Well, me and my co-hosts Swain and Birds put out a bonus podcast every month on Patreon. If you want to check it out and be a part of more awesome stuff, head over to patreon.com/Crucible Radio and join the squad. See you there.